Aloha. We're back again and we're live rush. Got gonna do a tune, a Tom Petty song. This is one I remember, this was like when this came out, I was in high school, and so I was right there digging it. It was that album, the album with the Alice in Wonderland, Don't Come Around Here No More. But this is a different song. And this was a really good album, but I guess if you read about Tom, this was not a good period in his life. A lot of cocaine and general unhappiness in his personal life, but, doesn't really matter in the musical scheme of things, I don't think. It's obviously informs that and influences that, but do you really need to know those things? I don't know. That's why I got all the books on like my heroes, Bob Dylan and the Stones and the Beatles and Jerry Garcia and such. But try to keep it towards the music. It's interesting to hear about like getting together, like if just knowing that like Keith Richards and Paul McCartney would get together, which they didn't. May I add, but like if they hung out, that sort of thing is kind of interesting, and some of those guys did, but it's like the Traveling Wilburys was essentially Tom Petty just happened to be hanging out. I believe Jeff Lynne. It was around the time of Full Moon Fever, and they were working together a little bit. And Jeff Lynne was producing that album for Roy Orbison. And George Harrison needed a single for his album with Got My Mind Set on You. So he wrote Handle with Care, and they needed somewhere to record it. And, which I believe Jeff Lynne was involved with that, maybe as producer. But Dylan lived around there, and he had a studio in his home. And that's how that all came together. Then they went and wrote a bunch of songs. The story about the Traveling Wilburys is great, because they were all in awe of Dylan a little bit. And just how he'd write songs. It's like he'd be like, let's write one like Prince now. And they wrote that song, I Love Your Sexy Body. And it was all just how the people get around to writing songs and stuff. And think about that. Of like the people you really like, if you have any particular artists, like the types of songs they write. Like Springsteen writes all these songs. Now, he did grow up in a working class family, but those days are obviously long gone. But he writes these songs about people, the struggles of life and working and things like that. And Dylan's songs, a lot of them are more on a personal approach, very relatable to everybody, relationships and stuff. Not exclusively, and like Paul McCartney writes like songs, you can't really say there's a general theme to his music, and I'm kind of just running this right on the spot, but he writes songs. He comes up with melodies and writes songs. And he was much more prolific. Like Lennon was not as prolific. His songs were a lot more personal and inspired by things. Think Give Peace a Chance and stuff like that. Starting Over. Imagine, Instant Karma. So just the different approaches everybody has. John Fogerty. He'd never been to the Mississippi, and he wrote Proud Mary because, he was a fan of blues artists and just trying to picture what it would be like, and just what inspires you to write, And then Neil Young songs, like break Neil Young's songs down, like just read the lyrics to a lot of the classics, especially back in the 70s, and what are they about, It's his lyrics are pretty weird. So we got this one. I got Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs. He's the guitarist from the Heartbreakers. Wrote all those tunes with Tom Petty. Wrote the music to a lot of them. Wrote Boys of Summer for Don Henley. Or he wrote it and then gave it to Don Henley, and Don Henley kind of finished it. But it was a great show. It was at the Orpheum in Ybor City in Tampa. And it's very similar to the Paradise in Boston, with including the couple columns like 3 feet in front of the stage, like kind of blocking the view a little bit. Tiny place, but the place that artists seem to love to play, you know, and it's just tight, small venue, and it was good because the Dirty Knobs regular drummer. This has been kind of Mike Campbell's side band for a long time. He just put out a couple albums in the last couple of years. One of them just came out like a month ago. But the regular drummer was sick, so Stan Lynch, who was the original Heartbreakers drummer, and who left way back in the 90s, but he was there that night playing the drums with Mike Campbell. I mean, very cool. Tiny place, dude. And he did a ton of his new stuff, but he also did a ton of Heartbreakers stuff and some really cool, unusual stuff. And he's just supremely talented. He's a guitar, you know, it's not all about flash. He plays to the song, and he plays well to the song. It's just... you know, he's a lot, like he plays on a lot of Dylan's, not a lot, but some Dylan likes to use him occasionally because he's just very tasteful, and he doesn't, it's not about him, it's about the song. So, but this is from the Southern Accents is the album, I believe, Tom Petty, who I really grew up loving Tom Petty, you know, that's, it was nearly summer, we sat on your roof, just... great imagery. Here Comes My Girl. You know, obviously American Girl. Shit like that. And that's like his favorite song. He has a good thing on YouTube if you go. He's got like he does like these hour-long shows you all his guitars, talks about songwriting, and some of them are shorter, but very interesting, you know. Very interesting. You know, he's got all his guitars. He's got like this Telecaster. You know how you see all the wear marks from, you know, where the guys put their fingers? But he's got these ones. It's like finger grease. You know? It's not so much it's wearing down. It is that as well. But he's like, he won't let anybody clean them because he's just afraid it'll change the sound and stuff, you know? Like his favorite Telecaster. And so there's just a ton. YouTube's like all you need, really. You know, there's just a ton of stuff. I was just watching some stuff. Ledward Kaapana, who's a very well-known Hawaiian slack key artist. Very well-known. As soon as you get into that stuff, he's the guy. And when I was fortunate enough to see him play many, many weekends at the Kona Brewery in Hawaii Kai when I was there. Free. Got a picture with my arm around him. It's nice. And he lets people come up and play with him. Unfortunately, I had just started playing the ukulele, so I actually did get a chance to go up there, and I chickened out. But I'm ready now, if I can go back. But I was watching a great thing on YouTube. There's a ton of his stuff, but this band Kapena, Kapena, with they're really good, a family band, and they're just sitting in their living room. It was recorded in the last year or two during COVID, and just in their living room, and it's all out like a guy walks in front of the camera at one point. Shit, you know, it's just great. So, but back to what I'm gonna do here. So we're gonna do the song is Rebels, and I just imagine this is about as close as I'll ever get to being a Southern boy. You know, and Tom Petty always identified himself as a. He thought of himself as an LA. He was from Gainesville area, but he felt that LA was kind of his home. But a lot of his songs refer back to Florida, obviously. You know, and 441 is a road that goes near Gainesville from American Girl, and just a lot of them, you know. And this would be another one in Southern accents, obviously. And so let's see if we can do this one with the Acoustasonic. This guitar is great, man. Barely even know it's there. It's like all fucking light and shit. I can keep doing that if you like. We can just do this for a while. So here we go. That was the wrong chord, actually. Honey, don't walk out. I'm too drunk to follow. You know you won't feel this way tomorrow. Well, I'm maybe a little rough around the edges and inside a little hollow. But I get faced with some things sometimes that are so hard to swallow. Hey, I was born a rebel down in Dixie on a Sunday morning. Yeah, with one foot in the grave, one foot on the pedal. I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel. She picked me up in the morning and she paid all my tickets. Screamed in the car and tossed me out in the thickets. Well, I never would have dreamed that her heart was so wicked. But I keep coming back because it's so hard to kick it. Hey, hey, hey. I was born a rebel down in Dixie on a Sunday morning. Yeah, with one foot in the grave, one foot on the pedal. I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel. Even for our fathers, they called us all rebels as they burned our cornfields and they left our cities level. I can still see the eyes of those blue-bellied devils as I'm walking around tonight through that concrete and metal. Hey, hey, hey. I was born a rebel down in Dixie on a Sunday morning. Yeah, with one foot in the grave, one foot on the pedal. I was born a rebel. I was born a rebel. That was take one, and I think I'm going to stick with it. There was 2 points there where I kind of hesitated on that. And at both of those times, I was thinking about how well this was going and don't fuck it up. And I did it twice. I'm going to watch this, and if it's still adequate. I like the spirit in that one. That was, I think I did well on that, other than those 2 little fuck ups. And it didn't fuck up vocally, the vocal part. And that was about as natural a voice as I think I got right there. That fit that well. So I'm going to review that, and I think I may stick with that. So I know I fucked up. You know, as the song says, and I know I play a bad guitar.